Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to manifest anything you want with the least action that is mentioned by Neville. So the principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible of time. So to understand this, we first need to understand what least action means, because Neville is pulling this straight out of real physics before he turns it into a life lesson. In physics, there's a very old and very deep principle that says nature never wastes anything. Whenever something moves, whether it's a planet circling the sun, water flowing downhill, or light traveling from one point to another, it doesn't just move in any random way. Out of every single path it could theoretically take, it always ends up taking the one path that requires the least total action. And action here is a specific way of measuring how much energy is used combined with how much time is spent. So essentially, nature is efficient. It never wastes movement. It never takes a longer route than necessary. It never uses more energy than it has to. It automatically finds the smoothest and most direct way to get from point A to point B. And Neville says that this is a universal rule. It applies to the tiniest things and the largest things alike. It applies to everything, no matter what. Different scales, different speeds, different kind of things. Yet the exact same underlying law of efficient movement governs all of them. So Neville is reminding us that the entire physical universe runs on effortless efficiency. Nothing in nature strains or struggles to get where it's going. It simply flows there, guided by this principle of least resistance and least effort. And he continues, least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible of time. This principle of least action can basically be understood as two things combined. The smallest possible amount of energy used multiplied by the smallest possible amount of time taken. In other words, true efficiency is not just about doing something fast, and it is not just about doing something easily, it's about achieving both at the same time. The most efficient path anything can take is the one where energy and time are both minimized together. And you can take this idea straight out of physics and apply it directly to your life, to your personal growth and change. When you are trying to move from your present state, meaning whatever you are right now, whatever problems, struggles, or circumstances you are currently living in, and moving to your desired state, life, situation, or version of yourself that you actually want to become, this exact same law of efficiency should apply to you as well. You are not meant to assume that getting what you want requires years of grinding, forcing, or straining, or suffering through hardship. Instead, just as everything moves smoothly, you too are not meant to strain to become who you want to be. The most natural and efficient way to move from where you are now to where you want to be is one that uses the least amount of energy possible and takes the least amount of time possible. So change does not have to be hard or challenging. If you align yourself with this deeper, universal principle of efficiency, the same one that guides planets and light, then your own personal transformation does not have to be long or painful. It can instead happen smoothly, quickly, and with far less effort than you'd expect, simply because you are moving in harmony with how the universe itself naturally works. So least action means using the minimum amount of energy in the minimum amount of time. In simple words, don't waste effort and don't make something harder than it has to be. And if there is a simple path and a difficult path that both lead to the same destination, nature chooses the simple one. And you have to choose the simple one too. People often do the opposite with their minds. Instead of taking the simple path, they constantly worry, overthink, analyze every possibility, and force themselves to believe or repeat affirmations with anxiety, or wonder when something will happen, and check for results every day and mentally fight against their own doubts. And all of this is unnecessary mental work. So imagine two people who both want to become confident. One spends every day thinking, how do I become confident? Why am I still insecure? or what if I never change? Their mind is constantly busy using enormous amounts of mental energy, and the other person simply begins accepting the idea that I'm becoming a confident person and gradually starts living from that assumption instead of constantly questioning it. The second person is following the principle of least action because they are not wasting energy by fighting themselves. And this is why when moving from your present state to your desired state, you should use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible of time. Stay with me till the end so I will show you how to do it. So your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. It works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. So moving from one state of consciousness to another means moving from one way of thinking, feeling, believing into a completely different way of thinking, feeling, and believing. For example, moving from a state of I am poor and struggling into a state of I am successful and secure, or moving from a state of I am sick into a state of I am healthy. Now remember from earlier that the most efficient way to travel anywhere, according to the principle of least action, is to use the least energy and the least time. So the most efficient way to move from one state of consciousness to another with least action is mere assumption. This means that the most efficient, least effortful, least time-consuming way to shift from your current state of mind to your desired state of mind is simply to assume. That means to imagine, to feel and accept as already true, that you are already the person that you want to be, already living the life that you want to live. Stay with me more, I will explain this based on experience. Let's say you want something in life, or let's say you are in a state of lack, whatever the lack is. In those moments, you feel through yourself a feeling of going out of that state. Every time you are in a state of lack, automatically comes a feeling of the opposite. And that is a feeling without effort. That is a feeling of pure state. And you have to use that immediately. Do not go for a more complicated one. Use that simple and to the point. And the day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in a complete conformity with this principle. And one day you won't just believe it works because someone told you so. You will actually see for yourself, through your own experience, that it operates in a perfect harmony with the very same principle of least action. You will discover that assuming your desired state doesn't just work in some random and complicated way. It works in the exact same efficient and minimal natural way. So your assumption, once accepted, will carry you toward your goal in the most direct, effortless, and natural way possible. And it works by means of attention minus effort. So where you place your focus, what you dwell on, what you keep returning to in your mind, if you place your attention on the feeling and reality of already being who you want to be, already having what you want to have, already living the way you want to live, that attention itself is what does the work. So the formula here is pure, calm attention on your desired state without any tension, without any force or struggle attached to it. It's the difference between resting your gaze on something versus straining your eyes to stare at it intensely. So the real way of change is simply relaxed, sustained attention on the state that you want to experience as true, held lightly and not forcefully. And thus, with least action through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. This final line beautifully sums up everything. He says that when you use least action, meaning this calm, effortless method of simply assuming your desired state and giving it your relaxed attention, you end up moving toward your goal in a very particular way. You hurry without haste. This is a lovely paradox, and it means that you do move quickly and efficiently toward what you want. There is real, genuine progress happening, but there is no anxious rushing and no nervous impatience involved. So at the end, whenever you are feeling bad, in lack, or in any negative state, pay attention to the effortless feeling and thought that comes in your mind and accept that. That will make your assumption come true in the fastest way possible. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you love it, hit the like button and see you in the next video.